Hello everybody and welcome to today's book review. Today I'm going to review the 3-volume version Berge des Wahnsinns. It's a Call of Cthulhu campaign published by Pegasus Spiele GmbH. It's based on the English campaign Beyond the Mountains of Madness, published by Chaosium Inc. But the German version is an extended and enhanced version of that campaign. It is split into 3 volumes, so you basically have to get 3 books if you want to play it. It will cost you around €100, that's around $80. The production value, as usual, is very, very high. In addition to the normal text, you have a book that is enhanced with very nice photographs, historical photographs, paintings, sketches, maps. So what I told you about Terra Cthulhiana, that the production value is extremely high for Pegasus publishing books, is again true of this 3-volume version. The story is based on a story by H.P. Lovecraft called At the Mountains of Madness. It tells of a expedition to Antarctica, to the South Pole, in 1930-1931. And during that particular expedition from Arkham, a group of geologists go to the South Pole, or want to go to Antarctica to do some borings to get some core samples. And as they travel to Antarctica and then finally take a plane to cross Antarctica, they come across a huge mountain range. They find out that this mountain range is much higher than the Himalayas, and they land there and they come across a city, and they come across specimens of a race of beings that they had never seen anywhere before. These specimens are really well preserved because they are frozen in the snow, and they excavate them and then they start dissecting them. The only trouble is, first of all, that these beings are frozen, but they're by no means dead. So basically they're dissecting living beings. We find out later that they are great old ones. These great old ones awaken, and they then start to dissect the expedition members in turn, because obviously the great old ones, as we learn during the course of the Lovecraft story, are themselves scientists and explorers, and of course they are now faced with a completely new race which they've never seen before, because they had been slumbering for millions of years. They are really interested, and so they start dissecting a couple of the members of this expedition. And we later on also encounter a race of servitors which the great old ones bred, the so-called Shoggoths. And the story tells of the Shoggoth Wars and how the Shoggoths later on overturned the rule of the great old ones, and at the end of the book the great old ones that are found by the expedition are actually killed by the Shoggoths. The 2 remaining members of the expedition, at least one of them, Danforth, goes crazy over what he witnesses, and that's basically the end of the story. The story itself is very different, in my opinion, from other Lovecraft stories, in that for the first time I feel that his monsters, his creations, are not described as monsters, mindless, evil beings, but as humans that just look very different. And he also, in my opinion, draws attention to the fact that if a human being decides to kill a living creature just to dissect it and to find out what's inside, we call it science. But when somebody does it to us, we call it horrific, and we call it inhuman. So of all of his works, I believe actually that this is the most ethical one. And the campaign itself deals with another expedition that decides to find out what happened to the first campaign. And they make their way to the South Pole, so that is the story that you have to follow. The book itself takes you through the different stations of your campaign basically you start off in New York, you have to put together an expedition, you have to then find a way to get to the South Pole. There is somebody who will sponsor you, there is somebody who will go on that expedition with you, and then you go to the South Pole or to Antarctica really, and you encounter all kinds of problems, you encounter all kinds of horrific things. Obviously it's called At the Mountains of Madness or Beyond the Mountains of Madness, depending on the language version you have, and of course that spells out madness. The campaign itself has been described as really railroady, and I think this is true because you don't have much choice. Your group, if they want to finish the campaign, they just have to keep going. There is no way they can say, oh, I will go someplace else, I won't go to Antarctica, because if they don't go to Antarctica, they're not playing that particular campaign. So it's very railroady, but I find that is true of almost all Call of Cthulhu campaigns I've played so far. They are all very railroady, and unless you actually follow the clues and travel around the globe quite often to get to the place where you need to get to, you don't have much choice. So as campaigns go, this is definitely the most epic one that has ever been written, and as far as materials go, this one is beautifully made. The German version is really beautiful. I also have the English one as a PDF. I've compared the two, not on a textual basis, but just on a handout basis and on a pure if you like, beauty basis, and I would say that definitely the German version beats the English version hands down. Again, I would say that hopefully at some point this German version will be translated into English so that you can all use it and read it if you want to play this campaign. And I can only say, okay, go out there, check it out, get it, it's well worth the money. Having said this, you may have to wait for a reprint because the first volume is not available anymore.